This video is part of a playlist where we build this, a Spotify web controller. We can play, pause a Spotify player, we can go to the next and previous track, and all of this built as a ReactJS Chrome extension. If you have no idea what this is, look in the description for details. Our Chrome extension development courses have gone live on Teachable. Courses for all skill levels. Chrome extension plus JavaScript web development. Chrome extension development without all that prerequisite JavaScript stuff. And if you just need help reinforcing what you already know, we have a starter projects package. Engaging curated content, step by step, line by line, preview the courses, join the courses. Alright, so right off the bat, we need to install a package that's going to help us with the transitions. And so we're going to do some transitions and some animation, or one animation in this video. We'll do the transitions first. And the only animation we need, so we're going to do an npm install -save. The only transition or animation we're going to need is with the ticker to make the artist and song scroll from the right to left. The rest is just going to be handled by this package here. So install React transition group. And then we're going to navigate and open up the, spin up the app. So npm run build. We'll go here, we'll do localhost 8080, and we should get it on the bottom right here. Alright, so let's close this. And the only components that use this transition group are the player, so to slide this thing down and up, and the options page where it slides the default deck left or right, and it slides the deck they're choosing in from the left or right. So let's start with what are we going to need? Let's go with the player first. So player, foreground, because we need to write the function for it. And I'm going to show you how the CSS transition group is reading the animations. So that's in the player styles. All right. So in player, we're going to import the package or the object from the package. So import CSS transition. That's going to be from React transition group. And we're just going to wrap the entire player in this thing. So CSS transition, and we have 4 props. In is equal to, it's going to be, what is it going to be? It should be props.isClosed. We have appear, which is going to be equal to true, a boolean of true. We have a timeout of, let's say, I think it was 1000, so 1 second. And then we have the class names is equal to, what is it going to be? Chrome extension, I think it was flip. Let me do a closing chevron, take that, paste this, let's see if it works. So we need to code for the isClosed prop, which is down here. So open close player, this dot set state, we're just going to flip the whatever it is. If it's true, flip to false. If it's false, flip to true. So we're just going to say return an object of isClosed is equal to the old state dot isClosed. And the opposite, so we need the exclamation mark there. Save that. All right, there we go. And the isClosed starts at true. All right, so we click the little orange button, which is our open close player, and we get that there. So how is transition or CSS transition using all of these props right here? So if in is equal to true, it runs an enter animation. If in is equal to false, it runs an exit animation. Appear says as soon as the component renders, you're going to run an appear, not an enter, not an exit, but there's a separate appear animation. I'll show you that in a second. Timeout says, so right now this is keyed towards 1000 milliseconds, so 1 second. Watch what happens when I change this. So all of the animations in our CSS, they take 1000 milliseconds or 1 second. But I can cut that short if I do 50. No matter how long you put it in here, CSS transition times it out at 50 milliseconds. So watch what happens when I click the orange button. We don't get the full 1 second slide. We just get 50 milliseconds of that 1000 milliseconds. So you kind of want to have this be on par or parity with the CSS you're writing. So let's see if that's good. So the appear animation, the enter animation, and the exit animation. So CSS group knows which CSS you've written for your animations by this Chrome extension flip. This can be whatever you want. So you go into your CSS, we have the Chrome extension flip, but it knows it from appear, appear active, enter, enter active, enter done, exit, exit active, exit done. So when you first render this component, it goes from a translate of 0, which is full, you can see it, down into 100. And right here, it stays at 100. If we didn't have this, or we had this at 50, like this, save. When this component first renders, it starts at 0%. It goes down 100%, which is fully off the screen. And it ends at 50%. So you kind of want, well, depending on what you're animating or transitioning, you kind of want this to match up with the active right here. So that's 100. There we go. And so now that's rendered. Every time the, Every time the in goes to false or true, it plays so let's say true, it plays the enter animation, which is 0, which would be this guy right here. So start at 0, go down to 100 like this, stay at 100. When the is closed, flips to false, start at 100, which is down here, active all the way up to 0 right here, like that, and then stay at 0. So that's how CSS transition works. Whether or not in's true or false dictates if it's an enter or an exit animation. So let's do this exact same thing for the options page. So let's close this, foreground. The options page uses the options container, not the foreground container. So we need this, and since just to keep a parity here, let me copy this and paste it in the options page here. All right, let me do this. All right, options page. Let's go here. Options.html. Let's import the object from the package. So we'll do an import of CSS transition, and that's from React transition group. Semicolon there. And we just want the deck to slide in or slide out. So we're just going to wrap the deck in the transition. CSS transition. And in is going to be equal to props dot, I think it's load. I'll double check that load. We want appear equals true. We have a timeout on this one. It's 400 milliseconds. We want on exited. So all on exited does is the CSS transition, it makes sure that whether or not for this specific transition, when we say in is true or in is false, it's not really an enter exit. It depends on if they're clicking previous or next. But all on exited does is after the full animation is done, whether it's enter or exit, doesn't really matter. It'll roll or call a different function or animation. So in this case, on exited, I'm going to call a function. So my context dot, and that was what it would be. Unload deck, load deck. I think it's loaded. Let me do this. Load deck. There we go. It's going to be load underscore deck. And this is not the props. We don't have props here. It should be my context dot load. And finally, the class name. So class names, and this is going to be a ternary. So it's going to be if my context dot direction. And I think 1 is for next, 0 is for previous, or 0 is for next, 1 is for previous. I'll show you the CSS styling in a second. So depending on whether my context direction is 0 or 1, which is true or false, if it's true, we're going to run the Chrome extension slide. I think it's next animations. And if not, we're going to run the opposite one. So it's going to be Chrome extension slide previous. So let's close off this. Let's take this, paste that down here. Let's take this away from there. Let's put it at the end here. There we go. Let's delete this space. We'll save. We'll go into the options container here. We need the unload deck. And the direction comes in as a parameter or an argument. So this dot set state. All we're going to do is take the old state like this. So no matter what we want to do here, we want to set the load to be equal to false. I'll tell you why right now. So if load, where's the options style sheet? Options. And so depending on the direction the user clicks, the exit animation is different. So if they're doing the previous, which is this button right here, the exit animation says to start from 0 and then go 100 viewport width in the positive direction. So slide this guy to the right. if you're doing a previous click. If you're doing a next click, it's just the opposite. So start at 0 and then slide 100 viewport widths to the left. So we want to set the load to false, so trigger the exit animation. Doesn't matter which direction, just trigger the exit animation like this. And the direction is just going to be equal to _direction. We're going to use that in a second. And this should be a return object. There we go. Let's see if we're working. All right, so we have the exit animation. Now we need to load the next or previous deck, and that comes in with this guy right here. On exited my context load deck. So load deck is down here. So after we're done loading it out, we need to load it back in. So I'm going to copy and paste some code because I don't want to write it and I can't memorize it. Well, I can, but who needs that when I can just do this and explain it? All right, so all we're doing here is we're just taking all of the deck names. Let me close. We don't need these style sheets anymore. We don't really need the foreground. Let me do this before I close the foreground, just to keep things organized. So we wrote the unload deck, save that, and we just wrote the load deck. Copy and paste that in here. Save that so I can close the. Is that not properly formatted? It's an extra. There we go. Close the foreground. We have this. So let me open. What was I saying? Deck names, image ledger, which is right down. Close this. Images ledger. There we go. So all we're doing here with this, let me do this. There we go. So all we're doing with these lines here is the deck names. We're taking all of the keys of this.state.dex. So all of this stuff here. Orange, Cyberpunk. Next deck, we're just going to the, whether or not they're going next or previous, we're either going from orange to Cyberpunk or Cyberpunk to orange, or if there was another one, we go from Cyberpunk to the next one, or if we're on the last, if we're on the last deck like this, and we go next, then we just circle around back, and we go to orange. So that's all this logic does. We close this. So we get the next deck. If next deck is greater than the length, we just go back to the first deck in the deck catalog. If next deck is less than the first one, we just go to the last deck in that catalog. And then we just set the state. The current deck is equal to that next deck, so it's either going to be orange or Cyberpunk. And we set the load to true. And so load to true right here triggers the enter animation, which again is just this guy right here. So depending on which way they're going, it's just the enter animation here. So enter, enter active, enter done. Enter, enter active, enter done. So the logic is unload it with a false. Once it's done its animation, load it with a true like that. Let's see if it works. There we go. There we go. All right, so that's all we need to do for CSS transitions. Let's code up the rest of the buttons on the app, and then at the end we'll do the ticker stuff. So let me close this, close this, close this. Let's go back to the foreground page. And let me start that guy on true. Let's do this foreground. Let's start you on rather false. Where is it? Is closed. We'll start you at false. There we go. All right. So the next track and the previous track. All right. So let's scroll down here and new track. The logic is the same. What we're going to do is we're going to do a this.setState. And should we set it like this? We'll set it like that, and then we can run it. Yeah. So we're going to say new track. So load in a new track. That's going to be equal to true. We're going to say is playing equals to false. Now this is playing is not really for the playing of not the playing of the actual music. This is not going to cut off the music if you're playing the music. This is just to stop the ticker. So when we load a new track, we just want to stop the animation of this ticking, which we'll get to in a bit. We just want to stop this scrolling, and then once we're done loading the track, the animation, that GIF of scrolling, we'll just resume the ticker. So is playing is false, and then we'll just do this. After we set that state, we're just going to do a set timeout of this of 400 milliseconds. And we're just going to set the state back. So we're just giving time for that GIF to load in the track. So this dot set state, we're going to say new track is equal to false, and is playing is equal to true. Now the way this thing is going to animate, because currently there's nothing happening. If I click this, there's nothing there. If I do, let's say an alert, let's see if it's working. Next track. So it's working. To get this GIF loading in, we need to code something in the where the get deck image. So let me just copy and paste it, and then I'll explain it. So let me delete this. Control V. All right. So what we're doing here is, if the player body right here, let me do Control P, player body. So when the player body initially loads, it runs this get deck image. Get deck image runs, and then we get this stuff here. This .state.is playing, then we get the play. If it's not playing, then we get the pause. And why isn't it showing anything? Do we have that? That's because we're using this images path, but we don't have it. So let me just copy this guy here. Control C, not X. Let's throw this guy up here. Save. There we go. So all this does is, as soon as we load, player body runs this function. If the state.is playing, we play the play GIF. Let me show you guys that. Is playing. Say true. Save. And now we get the spinning of the thing. Later on when we code for the ticker, this will start scrolling as well. Let's put that back to false. There we go. All right. So whether or not it's playing or not, it gets the appropriate GIF. And then if this .state.newTrack is true, which is down here, it says the new track is true, then it plays that load animation. And then after 500 seconds, it goes back to the pause animation. Let's see if this works. Yeah, it should work. There we go. So that's the load, and then it loads the pause animation. But after 400, it loads the is playing true. So why is this pause right here after 500, but this is true, is playing after 400? That's just a design decision. I don't want to have to, so get deck image shouldn't do anything to the state of the app. Just return the deck image blank. So I just wanted next track to be in control of whether or not we have the is playing GIF and not the get deck image. You could absolutely put the play in here. But again, I just want to make sure the functions only do what they're designed to do, which is just get deck image. Don't influence any of the actual state of the app. And so we're just going to copy and paste that, and we're going to paste it into the previous track. So copy. And whether or not it's the previous track or the next track, that is completely dependent on the back end of the Chrome extension when we do the Spotify, the business logic. For now, these guys just do on the front end. They do the same exact animation. There we go. So we have the open close. Should still spin. And let's code up this this play pause right now, or start pause. We're just going to flip the true to false or false to true. So this dot set state. We need the previous state, and we're just going to return an object is playing. It's going to be equal to the opposite of state dot is playing. Save, play, pause, next, pause, play, pause. There we go. Let me just copy these guys into my options just to be consistent. All right, so we have that. What do we need to do now? I think all that's left to do is the animation of the ticker. So let's close this. Player body, we don't need. Foreground, do we need? I don't think we need that. Let's go into the ticker. So it's a lot, so let me just copy and paste it, and then I'll explain it to you guys. All right, there we go. Let me see if it works, and then I'll explain it. So when we click the is playing, there we go. It starts sliding like that. We stop, and it stops where it started. All right. So how should I do this? Let's just do this easy part first. So set timeout of 1. I just had this go because when I just had this right here, there's some visual hiccups. So I just made a slight delay of 1 millisecond. So just a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a second. So set timeout to 1. If it's playing, use the start animation. If it's is playing false, stop the animation. So let's go over to start anim and then stop anim. Start anim just cancels the previous animation frame, so if it's already running, stop the previous one so we can start a new one. The ticker offset position, this just has to do with how the text is aligned inside the ticker. Old times equal to date.now. I'm not going to go too in depth into these guys. Old time right here, and there's some sort of delta time down here. So this is just to normalize the performance of basically normalize the frames per second, depending on the CPU the user is using. So that's all this time stuff does. So we start the animation, we go to tick, stop animation, it just resets the position of the text, cancels the animation. The tick, we get the current time, that's all the FPS stuff. We divide by the frame duration. I think this is 60 frames per second. Don't quote me on that though. But anyways, just to normalize the frames per second. Ticker position, so we have the song, this text here, subtract, so move left every run of the animation cycle. And all this stuff does is, when this text leaves the user's view, it quickly resets the text to the right side, so you get the illusion that it's infinitely scrolling like this. So it pops back over here, and it pops back over here. And that's just for it's a tree for the left and right stuff. And of course, we just loop the animation by calling the same, it's a recursive function. We call the same function the request animation comes from, just to create that loop. And we keep track of the anim ID so we can cancel it right there. So that's it for the animation of the ticker. It's doing some weird stuff right now. Might have to go in and fix that. Go. No, maybe it's a hiccup. I'll take a look into that, see if I have to fix that. So we have all of the animations working. Do an F5 here. Let's see if I forgot to show you guys anything. No, I think that's going to be it for the video. So we had all the animations working. In the next video, the next phase, we're going to get away from the foreground and we're going to work on completely on the back end. So the background, the actual Chrome extension. So we're going to hook up to the Spotify API, all in code. We're not going to merge these two yet. So we're going to get to the Spotify API and we're going to learn how to control a person's Spotify player. So play, pause, next track, previous track, and all the logic that goes with that. So don't forget to give a like, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and I will see you guys in that next phase.